Coming up on tonight's UAP News Show.
Congress's UAP Subcommittee request.
Tim Gallaudet's white paper for the Soul Foundation.
Kirkpatrick pants trolling continues.
ODNI won't claim the AARO report.
Well, and UAP reporting and material disposition procedures released through a FOIA request.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we're back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP and UFO News Show. We've combed through this past week's most exciting, intriguing, and informative happenings, and I'm stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Greetings, cosmic enthusiast. It's Justin, and welcome to the UAP Society's UAP UFO News Show, your ticket to an interstellar adventure like no other. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, get ready for a cosmic roller coaster ride through the latest updates from the far reaches of the galaxy.
You're in for a treat as we bring you the latest and greatest UAP and UFO news. So find your seats, strap in, and get ready to go on a galactic roller coaster ride with us.
Congress's UAP Subcommittee request. Last week, we covered the highly disappointing and super sus AARO report that claimed there's no evidence of UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs, and the way those in the UFO world reacted to it. Well, this week, responses continued to pile up, and one representative decided to take it to the next level. Regarding how AARO handled their UAP investigations, John Greenwald Jr. of theblackvault.com tweeted this: "We have investigated ourselves and have found ourselves to be innocent." FBI, CIA, DOD, DOJ. I found that meme to be super relevant, and it's probably more accurate than we even realize. I'm glad more and more people are waking up to this, though.
And one person willing to push for further transparency is Representative Eric Burleson, who tweeted this: House lawmakers ask Speaker Johnson for panel to investigate government response to UFOs. Let's check out a clip from News Nation covering the story now.
Is enough being done to find the truth about unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, otherwise sort of kind of what we've all called UFOs for years. Now, there is one congressman who says enough isn't being done. The Republican from Missouri, Eric Burleson, is leading a charge. He is asking for Congress to do something about it, saying, quote, "We believe that establishing a new select subcommittee would provide a significant opportunity for Congress to provide answers that are long overdue." Joining us now is the congressman from Missouri. Congressman Burleson, thanks for being with us here on the Hill. What do you want here?
Great to be here.
Is this a new committee? And how receptive is the House Speaker Mike Johnson to this?
Yeah, we've reached out to Mike Johnson. I think that this is the next step, is to send a formal letter. Look, I'm lucky to have other colleagues that are part of the UAP caucus, that we're all taking this matter very seriously. We took the whistleblower, David Grush, and his allegations very seriously. I think we took the testimony of pilots who have had these near-miss encounters and have seen these objects. We've taken their concerns very seriously, and I think that we owe it to the American people to shed light on the expenditures that are, all the money that's being used to investigate these matters. This needs to be done in a transparent way, and we're trying to do this in a very thoughtful way, which is why I think that we need the resources. We need to have a select committee so that we can have the staff in place who are dedicated to this cause.
Is the Speaker on your side?
I don't know yet. I have a feeling I'll look forward to hearing from him, but okay. I know that we've got, Chairman Comer on our side. We've got, Tim Burchett and other members of the UAP caucus. And
Democrats
so hopefully
and
we'll
Republicans.
get a response from the Speaker.
Yep.
Yes.
Here was the report, Congressman.
Representative Moskowitz.
Yep, exactly. Here was the report from the Pentagon last week, basically pushing back on David Grush's testimony and the idea that there's a secret crash retrieval program. Quote, AARO, which is the government agency overseeing this, assesses that all of the named and described alleged hidden UAP reverse engineering programs provided by interviewees either do not exist, are misidentified authentic national security programs that are not related to extraterrestrial technology exploitation, or resolve to a de-established program. Do you trust, Congressman, the Pentagon on this when that is their finding, or do you think there is more there to look into?
I don't, because they weren't transparent to us in a SCIF setting, so they could have brought forward evidence. They could have explained what these special access programs actually do, but they are not willing to do that with Congress. So to me, it's time that they open the kimono, that they show us exactly what's happening, because they should, if they're doing something that's good for the American people, if they're being responsible with taxpayer dollars, they should have nothing to hide.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there. And Congressman, thanks for joining us. Come back when if you get this committee formed and let us know what exactly you're tracking down. Congressman Eric Burleson from Missouri. Thank you, sir.
Anytime.
Yep. We're not done with this story. It ain't going away, no matter what the Pentagon says. I think this is just the beginning.
Regarding these efforts, Lou Elizondo tweeted, "Once again, thank you, Congress, for leading the way on this topic. Maybe some at the Pentagon will finally realize they aren't going to put this topic to bed." Those words were in response to a tweet from Askapol UAP that reads, "New, copy of letter to Speaker Johnson requesting UAP Subcommittee."
And just in case you're wondering what that formal letter said, I've got a copy of it right here for you. Let's review it together.
Copy of letter to Speaker Mike Johnson requesting UAP Subcommittee. Dear Speaker Johnson and Democratic Leader Jeffries, in light of recent whistleblower testimony and new evidence pertaining to the existence of unidentified anomalous phenomena, we request that the U.S. House of Representatives establish a select subcommittee under the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability to investigate the federal government's response to UAP. Given the Oversight Committee's role as the principal investigative body in the U.S. House of Representatives and its broad authority to investigate any matter at any time under House Rule X, we believe it is proper for the committee to investigate and assess how transparent and accountable the federal government is when it comes to UAP. On July 26, 2023, the Oversight Committee held public hearing with retired Major David Grush, along with Ryan Graves, the Executive Director of Americans for Safe Aerospace, the retired Navy Commander David Fravor, where they testified on their experiences with UAP, the national security risks posed by UAP, and the existence of UAP technologies currently possessed by the federal government. Specifically, Mr. Grush revealed the existence of a UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program which has been illegally withheld from Congress. In July 2022, the Intelligence Community Inspector General found Mr. Grush's complaint to be credible and urgent. While the testimony revealed some answers, many more questions remain unanswered, and we believe that further investigation is warranted. The federal government continues to declassify certain videos and studies on various UAP incidents with little clarity on the subject's origins. Another major barrier has been a lack of cooperation and evasion of congressional scrutiny from the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, which has only deepened public mistrust. Furthermore, it is unclear how much U.S. taxpayer funds are being spent on analyzing and investigating UAP. To the extent that we believe in genuine representative government, providing transparency on these matters is essential if we are to maintain a responsible and informed citizenry. Given the long history of the DoD and IC's lack of cooperation and transparency, it is in the best interest of American taxpayers for Congress to investigate UAP on a bipartisan basis and ultimately provide much-needed transparency to the public. Therefore, we believe that establishing a new select subcommittee would provide a significant opportunity for Congress to provide answers that are long overdue. Respectfully, we request that the select subcommittee be fully staffed and granted access to all material and information, both classified and unclassified, provided or derived from the federal government relating to UAP that formally or currently is protected by any form of special access or restricted access. Additionally, the select subcommittee should be granted access to all the material and information, both classified and unclassified, possessed by the federal government relating to all non-Earth origin or exotic UAP material. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We appreciate your timely consideration and stand ready to work with you to advance this critical issue on behalf of the American people. Sincerely, Eric Burleson, Member of Congress.
Shout out to Eric Burleson for putting in that work and for taking this topic so seriously. I hope that Speaker Johnson responds to this request by putting together that subcommittee so we can get to the bottom of this epic cover-up once and for all. And best believe that we'll cover any updates that come out on this request.
I really hope that that subcommittee gets put together and that they do some serious investigating, put on their Inspector Gadget glasses.
Yeah, me too.
And really, really look into this with their eyes open.
Absolutely. You know, it's so important that, you know, we have transparency with this issue. And I really feel like if they were to get this subcommittee, you know, that we could actually make maybe a little bit more headway. You know, we got to keep fighting for each millimeter that we get, right?
Yeah. We got to keep kicking that ball down the field,
right.
Even if it's just 1 yard at a time. As long as we're making progress, we're making progress. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
I think that if this subcommittee does get put together, I think it kind of like gives us a little bit of redemption from what was taken out of the NDAA.
Yeah.
all those months back when they took out that
Right.
panel of people that are supposed to review everything. I think this can kind of like replace that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like give us another win.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it won't be the same thing, but
No,
it'll be
but
another
it'll be
win,
like
right?
comparable at least.
Yeah. Every millimeter, every inch matters,
Mhm.
and we just got to keep pushing.
Yep.
Yeah. We just got to
Ooh.
keep kicking the can down the road, like you said. The next story we have for you guys is Tim Gallaudet writes a white paper for the Sol Foundation. On Monday, March 18th, retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet tweeted, "It is my honor to author the first Sol Foundation white paper. This is on transmedium UAP and unidentified submerged objects, or USOs. It's called Beneath the Surface. We may learn more about UAP by looking in the ocean, and is a 29-page document that outlines the unknown ocean, maritime security, the new scientific revolution, and ends it with a call to action and conclusion. I highly suggest checking out the full-length document by clicking the link in the video description box below. But for now, let's just look at his call to action and conclusion sections."
A call for action. To this end, transmedium UAP and USOs should be elevated to national ocean research priorities. Such action by the U.S. government, academia, philanthropies, the private sector, and the international community can benefit both maritime security and scientific discovery. Through executive order, the White House can demonstrate leadership by gathering, re-examining, and eventually disclosing the pertinent knowledge held by the government's ocean agencies and departments. NOAA, NASA, and the Office of Naval Intelligence and the Naval Oceanographic Office own the lion's share of the government's classified and unclassified ocean data, and a targeted survey of their archives and data repositories could lead to greater understanding of the physical characteristics and risks of these phenomena. Further action by the executive branch should include adding all domain anomalous phenomena as a topic in the White House Research and Development Priorities Memorandum for the 2026 fiscal year budget. Another White House action should be to direct the Ocean Policy Committee to add transmedium UAP and USOs to the strategic priorities and implementation plan for the National Strategy for Ocean Mapping, Exploring, and Characterizing the U.S. Exclusive Economic Zone. Both the House and the Senate should also step up by including the above action, as well as the original provisions in the Schumer Amendment in the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. Additionally, members of the House and Senate Ocean Caucuses should meet with supporters of the Schumer Amendment to build the base of support among members for controlled disclosure. Conclusion: the final frontier. Open scientific study of aerial UAP has been progressing for decades. Now that the U.S. Congress and a rising tide of new organizations are aiming to decipher the enigma of these anomalies, America may be better positioned than ever before to understand what exactly is in the sky. Not so in Neptune's realm. No matter how much is learned about UAP in the atmosphere, a complete understanding of anomalous phenomena will remain hidden, absent dedicated research in our largely unknown oceans. Without gazing into the abyss, one will never know if the abyss does indeed return the gaze.
The Sol Foundation is already producing quality work, and I'm here for it.
Me too.
So we just finished watching the Darcy Weir documentary, Transmedium, featuring Tim Gallaudet over the weekend.
It was good.
And highly recommend checking that out as well. You can rent or purchase it through Amazon.com. Tim's popularity doesn't stop there, though. He also appeared on the Christian Harloff YouTube channel in a video saying this.
Well, I'm totally convinced that we're experiencing a non-human higher intelligence. By the way, there's non-human intelligence all around in the ocean, especially when you look at marine mammals like whales and all that. But this is non-human higher intelligence, and they, of course, are possessing craft, vehicles, whatever that can do things we can't explain. And with technology we can't explain, and with laws of physics that are not what we know them to be, obviously. So I am completely convinced, because I know the people who were in the government programs, the legacy programs that oversaw both the crash retrieval and just the analysis of UAP data. So I'm very confident in these people, former intelligence, former DoD, and we are working as a team behind the scenes to advance disclosure, a controlled disclosure, mind you, as was put forth in the Schumer Amendment.
And let's not forget last year when he said he ran into Representative Luna on the Hill, and when she asked if he would be willing to testify at a field hearing on USOs, he responded with, "Of course I said yes." Love that. So I think that the chances of USOs and underwater alien bases are highly likely, just given the expansiveness and uncharted territory of our oceans. Remember that the Earth is comprised of 70% oceans, and more than 80% of those oceans have never been mapped, explored, or even seen by humans. Also, keep in mind that there are at least 3 different navies that have reported having sightings of or interactions with USOs. In addition, something else came up this week with Tim in the mix, which was this.
So in a tweet, Tim responded to Ross Cohart saying, "Hilarious that some clown thinks that by deleting an image off of Google Maps, they'll somehow deter public interest in an issue legitimately raised by former NOAA head Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet. All it does is underline why these issues must be rigorously investigated." So Tim's response to Ross saying that was indeed Ross Cohart, and quite an amateur job at that when the authoritative source, USGS, still has the original data as I depict here. Why would Google Earth filter out good data? To understand more about what they're talking about here, let's watch this quick clip from Dan Warren, who breaks it down for us.
Do you remember the rumors of an underwater alien base being located just off the California coast near Malibu? And what was crazy is that you could even find it for yourself by checking out Google Maps. But you can't anymore, because that area has apparently been scrubbed. But of course, pictures of this structure still exist on the internet. And thanks to Ripley Cooks, we even have recent video of this anomaly. Whether it's a massive underwater alien base or just a really strange underwater geographical structure is unknown. But what is known is that it's 2,000 feet underwater and approximately 3 miles wide. And it appeared to have an array of columns that were supporting a giant dome. But now it's just a big blurry mess. And the changes of this area on Google Maps comes within days of Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet publishing his white paper titled Beneath the Surface. We may learn more about UAP by looking in the ocean. A paper in which he states that 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, but only 25% of the seabed has been mapped to modern standards. And only 5% of the total volume of the world's ocean has been explored. So we know more about the surface of Mars and the Moon than we do about our own ocean. And if we begin to explore our oceans in hopes of finding more evidence of UAPs, or in this case, USOs, unidentified submerged objects, a byproduct of that effort is that we would learn a lot more about our planet and be better off because of it. And as a nation, it would potentially close any domain awareness gaps we have in the water. And that's why I think we should definitely be paying more attention to the underwater aspect of the phenomenon.
So what do you think about the white paper? Which aspect of it do you find most intriguing? Are you as convinced as Tim that some UFOs are advanced non-human technology? If he does personally know the folks that oversaw the crash retrieval programs and the programs that analyze the UAP data, do you think that will come up if he testifies at a field hearing on USOs?
I hope so.
Do you think it's a coincidence that Google Earth scrubbed those pictures of a potential underwater alien base days after the white paper was released? Let us know in the comment section below. What do you think?
I think the whole thing is pretty revealing and telling, you know. Obviously, Google is directed by the government on what to display on Google Maps and what not to display on Google Maps. You know, if they have a highly sensitive area, they're going to tell Google Maps, you know, just put like an old
Go
picture
fuzz
there or
that
something.
shit out so people can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and this is the classical case of pouring gas on the fire. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like, you know, you don't want people to look at a certain spot, you know, so they scrub it.
I
Like,
mean,
that's going to make more people look at it just because.
Well, in case you
You know?
need the screenshots of what they scrubbed from there, hit me up because I have them. But anyways,
Yeah.
this is giving me like NASA cutting the live feed vibes. It's just like another way for the government to be like, nothing to see here, folks. Oh, look, distraction. You know,
Yeah.
it's just another way for them to muddy the waters. And in this situation, quite literally.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I watched a video with Tim Gallaudet asking.
He was talking about this.
Yeah, asking his friend, or you know, who owns a underwater mapping company. You know, with a very sophisticated sonar, like submersible.
Okay.
Right. To go over to that area.
He gave him
and-
the exact coordinates.
Yeah.
Yep,
And
yep.
to map it and see what comes up. You know,
Right,
so
right.
hopefully if that happens, we can see, you know, the underwater images. That'd be cool.
That would definitely be cool.
Yeah.
And if they do come out, best believe we'll cover that for you.
Yep. And Kirkpatrick Pants trolling continues. Ever since Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick retired from AARO, he has been more active than ever before and seems to endlessly troll the UFO community.
For real.
Yeah, I mean, we have enough of trolls already, you know. We don't need him. On March 14th, his biggest cheerleader, Mick West, tweeted. The former Pentagon chief UFO investigator today says his team, AARO, considered that gimbal was likely an artifact of how the sensor operates, looking at a known object, probably a jet. Probably? Yeah, okay. Which is what we've been saying at Metabunk since 2018. Yeah. Not everything is a bug, blur, bird, or balloon, Mick. Sheesh.
I think he's going to die like happily on that hill. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah. And Twitter user Michelangelo summed it up nicely here. Sean Kirkpatrick talking about the 2004 Tic Tac Nimitz encounters and the 2 other U.S. Navy videos. Nimitz, we have no data, go fast, supports NASA calculations. Gimbal is a sensor artifact.
This fucking guy.
Yeah.
This fucking guy.
Doesn't matter what kind of data they have, it's going to be...
It's always a bug,
right.
bird, blur, or balloon, man. Always.
Right. I mean, I could take them more seriously if they would at least consider...
I know, but they don't. It's like something comes out and a day later it's like, oh, nope, it's a bird. Oh, nope, it's a bug.
Right,
oh, nope, it's a blur. Oh, nope, it's the, it's just
I feel like he has this need to debunk, right? Like that's what everybody relies on him about or for, is to debunk a video. That's why everybody goes to him, and so he has a need to debunk more than just be a skeptic and see what the data says.
Right.
He has to come out and say it's something prosaic.
I feel like he's almost painted himself into a debunking box. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, we got a video for you guys to watch, and so let's watch that now.
Okay.
And gimbal, we had hypothesized was likely an artifact of how the sensor operates, as well as looking at a known object, probably a jet, and then seeing how that, a FLIR, blurs all of that kind of information. And so the only way you're going to prove that is you actually have to recreate it in the lab. And so one of the things that I had tried to get started before I retired was to do that, get the actual sensor platform or one of the laboratory surrogates and go recreate the entire scene in the lab and make sure that it does what we think it does so that you could close that out as well. I don't know where that stands today, but that's what I had intended then.
Oh, I just can't stand these 2 clowns and their relentless trolling of the UAP community. They ruthlessly dismiss everything and everyone, including military whistleblowers, and claim that everything is debunked. I don't know who gave them their debunking degree, but they need to go back to the Cracker Jack box.
Yeah.
While I have serious animosity for these 2, I also can't help but appreciate the fuel that they keep adding to the disclosure train engine, because whether they realize it or not, they're keeping this conversation going and giving more people more reason to get in their feels and dig deep into their bravery wallet to come forward with their own testimony. Someone has to play the villain in this saga, and they are doing a fantastic job about it.
Yeah. What about the radar data that was recorded, right? Right. Yeah. What about the visual accounts of those, pilots that were flying the jets? Are they just completely ignoring all that?
Literally, yeah.
It seems like it to me.
Seems like it to me too, and that's why I just can't.
I just can't. I don't want to sit here and pretend like I know exactly what it was. Could they have a point? Maybe. But it's
on some cases, perhaps.
Yeah, but they're not even willing to have an open mind,
no.
To think that these could be something exotic. I don't know.
I already said my piece. I just can't. Yeah. But anyways, keeping with the AARO theme, let's just move on to our next story.
Okay. ODNI won't claim the AARO report.
Nope.
On March 15th, LiberationTimes.com published an article written by UK journalist Christopher Sharp called Top Intelligence Office Unable to Publicly Support Pentagon's UFO Report Despite Oversight Role, saying, The Office of the Director of National Intelligence currently cannot publicly endorse a recently released Pentagon historical report on unidentified anomalous phenomena. This is despite its joint oversight role over the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the entity responsible for drafting the report. And later goes on to say that AARO is mandated to report directly to the ODNI's Stacy Dixon, Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence, and Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks on all operational and security issues. However, despite repeated conversations with Liberation Times via phone and email, neither the ODNI nor Stacy Dixon herself has been able to publicly endorse the findings and conclusions of the report.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. That's pretty telling when they won't even endorse, their own report, basically.
Right. I mean, they're supposed to be like directly reported to when it comes to this kind of stuff, and for them to not claim it.
Yeah, I mean,
you fill in those blanks, buddy, not me.
Yeah, right. There's so many different factions of, the Department of Defense, and there's people on all sides of the aisle, right? There's people that are for disclosure and against disclosure, and I really think that Kathleen Hicks and, Stacy Dixon, I really feel like they are on the disclosure side, of that road, right? And, I mean, they clearly see this AARO report for what it is. It's a bunch of fluff and BS, to try to...
That's a nice way of putting it.
To try to get Congress, uninterested in the UAP issue.
Well, I think the more things that AARO does, like put out bunk-ass reports like this Volume 1 that they just gave us last week, the more there's going to be fuel added to the fire, because it's like people are not having it anymore. They're over it. They're like, look, you guys have been lying to us for about 100 fucking years.
Right.
We're over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I keep going back to the Ryan Graves quote where it says the U.S. government does not have the right to classify reality. And I'm just going to leave it at that, because if they won't even claim their own work, if they won't even claim their own people, if they won't even claim their own statements, enough said.
Yeah.
And our last story for the evening is UAP reporting and material disposition procedures released through FOIA request. On March 19th, theblackvault.com published an article called UAP Reporting and Material Disposition Procedures Released. Before we get into the specifics, though, let's see what some people's reactions were first. Lester Nair tweeted, "When the Dean speaks, we listen. This is a major revelation related to how seriously the DoD is taking non-prosaic UAP encounters, and it sounds exactly like what Luis Elizondo and Christopher Mellon have been saying." And our favorite journalist Ross Coulthart adds, "Very important new FOIA from Dean Johnson shows how, in defiance of DoD AARO's disinterest, the Department of Defense Joint Chiefs are taking UAPs now very seriously indeed." I could hear him saying that as I read it. But anyways, so getting back into the article, it says, in a recent Freedom of Information Act release, the Department of Defense provided documents in response to a request by Douglas Dean Johnson. The request, filed under case number 23-F-1429, sought information about the Joint Staff's guidance on unidentified anomalous phenomena reporting and material disposition. The FOIA response, dated March 15th, 2024, revealed that the Joint of Staff conducted a secret search and located 9 pages determined to be responsive to Johnson's request. These documents pertain to guidance issued on May 19th, 2023, which outlines procedures for reporting and handling material related to UAPs.
And one of Johnson's noteworthy aspects that I'd like to share with you says this: "The reporting procedures in the Joint Staff message apply only to detections and encounters that demonstrate behaviors not readily understood by sensors or observers. That include, but are not limited to, phenomena that demonstrate apparent capabilities or material that exceed known performance envelopes. The UAP reporting procedures described in this guidance do not apply to incidents, incursions, and engagements by identifiable non-anomalous phenomena, e.g., SUAS and other capabilities or materials that do not exceed known or predicted performance envelopes. Such incidents will instead continue to be reported through established processes and mechanisms. To see the rest of that article, please check out the video description box below, where you can find the link along with all other links featured in this show.
What I find most interesting from those documents is this. It says that UAP objects and material are secured in a manner consistent with DoD foreign material exploitation policies and doctrine, and are transferred to appropriate locations and entities following coordination with AARO no later than 30 days after the event. The below template will be used to record recovered UAP objects and material recovered, a copy of which will accompany object and material transport. And then it goes on to list the requirements of information, including serial numbers, geographic locations of the event, the dates these materials were recovered, and a description of these materials. So if the AARO report says that there is no evidence of UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs, then what in the bloody hell's all this? I smell a big steaming pile of shikaka.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's just ridiculous that, like, you know, the AARO is like, oh, we don't have any evidence of anything. It's just a bunch of nonsense. But then you have FOIA requests that come out with literal procedures of how to handle UAP material, which is indicating crafts and maybe possibly biologics.
Right. And then they're coming out with their own sensor system, or a suite of sensors to deploy to collect more data on some of these unknown objects, you know? I mean, so it's like, on one hand, you know, maybe AARO is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? And trying to find out what some of these objects are, you know, we're not interested in the 98% of the fluff, right? Right. I mean, we're
You're
not
playing
interested.
devil's advocate hard right now,
No,
boy.
I'm just saying we're not interested in the stuff that they can explain. We're interested in the stuff that is not readily explainable, you know, and the truly anomalous objects. That's what I'm interested in, you know, and it seems like there might be a little bit, a part of AARO that might actually be interested in that too. You know, because they are putting out sensor systems. You know, it seems like, you know, with these reporting guidelines, you know, there's a mechanism in place, you know, for them to be included in some of those reports, right? But on the other hand, it seems like there is either somebody above AARO that's telling them what to say to the public, right?
Which is
Could be
highly
the Air
likely.
Force.
Highly likely.
Right.
Or even maybe Navy.
Well, I mean, the Air
Probably
Force.
Air Force, though. Probably
The Air Force historically has had the most amount of control over
I know.
the UAP topic.
I know.
Right? It makes sense to me if you know, if the Air Force is telling AARO, you know, you can write a report, but you have to end it on this findings, you know. Right, that makes sense to me, especially if they don't want this information getting out to the public or to other countries.
Well, I just still think it's so funny that, like, AARO says one thing and then there's information that comes out that contradicts it, and then AARO tries to fix it and then something else comes out. It's just like this never ending back and forth battle between, like, deception, lies, smoke and mirrors, and some bullshit.
Yeah, you know what, and we had high hopes for Tim Phillips. You know, and I mean, seems like he is falling right in line with Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, I mean, he's only in there as like a temporary fill-in until they do find somebody to officially replace Kirkpatrick Pants. However, I'm not impressed with him either.
I feel like they're trolling hard. They're like trolling us hardcore, I feel like. I don't know.
And that concludes this week's UAP Society, UAP, and UFO news show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And while you're here, please do us a favor, smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop us a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends. Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity. All right, baby. Much love. Peace and namaste.